Sisters and brothers, the Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus said to his disciples, "As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. In those days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day that Noah entered the ark. They did not know until the flood came and carried them all away. So will it be also at the coming of the Son of Man. 2 men will be out in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. 2 women will be grinding at the mill, one will be taken and one will be left. Therefore, stay awake, for you do not know on which day your Lord will come. Be sure of this, if the master of the house had known the hour of the night when the thief was coming, he would have stayed awake and not let his house be broken into. So too, you also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Wake-up calls. This is what I wake up to every morning. But there are moments in life when we receive wake-up calls. Something happens that causes us to rethink, to reevaluate everything in life. Certainly, I think for us as a nation, September 11th was probably one of those occasions. I think we can all remember in the days, perhaps the weeks after September 11th, we all tended to look around at the world in a different way, kind of saw what was really important, and I think pulled together as families, as a people, a little tighter. People who have recovered from life-threatening illnesses tell me that the illness can be a very important wake-up call in their lives. After recovering, they leave the hospital with a very different mindset than they entered with, usually understanding much better what really matters in life. Advent, the season of the church year that we now enter, is meant to be a wake-up call. It's so easy for us to live our lives on autopilot without really thinking about what we're doing or where we're going. And as we prepare for Christmas, this most wonderful time of the year, and as we prepare for Jesus' second coming, which is really at the heart of Advent, the church invites us to rethink our lives and our priorities. The whole spirit of Advent is remembering the promise of Jesus' first coming and God's faithfulness to that promise that we will celebrate at Christmas, and his promise to return again and to wait in joyful hope for the fulfillment of that promise. And because we can so easily live our lives on autopilot, the church gives us Advent as a wake-up call each year. The Jesus whose birth we prepare to celebrate at Christmas is returning, and it's time to get ready for that return. You know, people react to wake-up calls in very different ways. A lot of people hit the snooze button on the alarm several times before actually getting up. The Scottish novelist and convert to Catholicism, Muriel Spark, wrote a lot of novels and many short stories, and she was a master of character studies. She's probably best known for the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, but she also wrote a story that's my favorite. It's called Memento Mori. Memento Mori is Latin for remember, you will die. And the story is about a group of eccentric London aristocrats, and each one receives an anonymous telephone call with the message, remember, you will die. And each person in the story reacts in a very different way to that call, to that wake-up call. The first to receive the call is a very wealthy, self-centered woman, and when the call comes, she is utterly shocked. She never even considered that her perfect, self-contained world would one day come to an end. And her arrogant facade crumbles, fear consumes her, and she dies of fear. Next in line is an elderly gentleman. After receiving the call, he decides to go for broke and to take still another wife, his fourth, a young one. Unfortunately, she is more than his heart can take, and he too dies on the spot. A third person receives the call and considers it a prank and gives it no more thought. A fourth person receives that same call, remember, you will die, and sees the call as a signal to settle old scores and to get even with all of his enemies before it's too late. Each person who receives the call reacts out of a lifetime of habit until the last person in the play receives her call, memento mori, remember, you will die. She thanks the caller, confessing that at her age a person can oftentimes forget important things, and with that, she sets about taking care of unfinished business in her life. She heals old wounds, forgives old enemies, reaches out to family and friends whom she had neglected, and puts aside all that really doesn't matter. She got the message. She got her wake-up call, and she reevaluated everything in light of that call. I've always thought that Muriel Sparks' short story is a beautiful way to begin Advent, because this is exactly what Advent is meant to be for us, this season of grace. The season begins with the passage from St. Matthew's Gospel that we heard today, in which Jesus reminds us that life as we know it will end, because he will return for us and will usher in a new age. For the Jewish people, the day of the Lord was the day that the Messiah would be revealed to the nations and the reign of God would be ushered in. It was a day of judgment when the actions of each person would be laid bare. All of the excuses that we make would fade away. Jesus tells us in the gospel today that that day of the Lord will come. No one knows the day or the hour, but Jesus will return for each of us, and each of us will be called to give an account for our lives. Talk about the wake-up call. But just as in Muriel Sparks' story, Memento Mori, people react to Jesus' call in different ways. For some, it's a threat, something to be dreaded. Others simply ignore the news that Jesus gives us, kind of saying, yeah, I've heard that before, and life goes on as before. And for some, the promise of Jesus that he will return is a welcome reminder, something for which to be ready, something for which to pray, something for which to look forward to and to long for. Different reactions to the same message. Obviously, the last reaction is the reaction the church wants us to cultivate, invites us to cultivate during these 4 short weeks of Advent. Advent begins with a welcome announcement. The Jesus who once came will come again. At Christmas, we will celebrate with great solemnity and joy God's faithfulness to his promise to send us a Messiah. And in the fullness of time, that Messiah was born, Jesus the Christ. And that same Messiah has promised to return and to usher in a new age, the kingdom of God. How we respond to this wake-up call that is Advent will be the result of a lifetime of habits. Some will be threatened by it, some will ignore it completely, and some will respond. For those who choose to respond, Advent is a season of grace, a time to put things right in our lives, to take care of that unfinished business that we all kind of put off to another time, to forgive and allow ourselves to be forgiven, to make that difference for good in our families, our schools, our places of work, our parish that we're called to do. It's time to re-examine our lives and our priorities, to ask how we are using the awesome gift of life that God has given us. It's too great a gift to live on autopilot. And so today our gracious God gives us a wake-up call. No one of us knows the day or the hour when Jesus will return for us, but that he will return, he has promised, and our God is faithful to all of his promises. I think a few years ago, this was illustrated for me in a powerful way. In 1 week, I celebrated 3 funeral liturgies. One was for a newborn child who lived only a few moments outside of her mother's womb. The second was for an 18-year-old teenager, a high school student who died in a car accident. And the third funeral was a 90-year-old grandfather. A newborn, a teenager, a grandfather. No one of us knows the day or the hour when Jesus will return. And so Jesus invites us as we enter this Advent season, looking forward to the celebration of Christmas, but also looking forward to that second coming, whether it be for us as individuals at the moment of our death or at the end of time. Jesus calls us to be ready, to wake up, to stop living our lives on autopilot. to live each day to the fullest. Memento mori. Remember, you will die. And only when we know that, when we remember that, can we really live. And that's what Advent is all about. It's a time to wake up, to really wake up, and to live, to really live.